Hey guys, welcome back to Telltale. I'm Emily.
I'm great.
And today we are going to be talking about Annihilation by VanderMeer. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
We are Telltale Books, bringing you the best in literature, literary topics, and graphic design and bookmaking.
If you want to support us, you can find us on Etsy and Pango, where you can find gently used, rare, and even top quality used books.
And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and maybe even that bell to be notified when new videos go live.
Thanks for joining us.
Annihilation by VanderMeer. I have as number 131 on our Telltale bibliography of VanderMeer's works, which may or may not be accurate. It's a full novel. Was first published on February 4th, 2014, and it's the first book in what's called the Southern Reach Trilogy, and this was the basis for a motion picture. And I have it in a very nice copy, which is the whole trilogy, Area X, the Southern Reach Trilogy, Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance. And he did, of course my memory can't pull up the title of it, but he did just publish a fourth book. And I have had a little bit of interaction with Mr. VanderMeer. He posted on Facebook, I believe it was, that anybody who wanted this one special edition book that he had of his, that he had a copy of, could write him and we'd work out terms for what he wants for it. So I wrote him and said I would like it. And he said, okay, just pay shipping.
That's nice. What a
Send me your
man.
address. And he'd send it to me for free. Yeah, he even paid shipping. What he did is he said, you can make a donation. He was living in Florida at that time. Right now, I believe he's living in Oregon. I think the hurricanes damaged his property in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. But at that time, he was living in Florida, and he must have had a sizable property. He was trying to restore the nature on his property, trying to restore it to
preservation stuff.
Original Florida landscape and preserve the plants and wildlife and stuff. And he was taking donations to help him with costs for doing that.
It's really cool.
And so, yeah, I gave a donation because that was really nice of him to do that. So I think he's a really nice guy, really terrific author, very nice to talk to, deal with, very down to earth. And that kind of makes me all the more want to read all of his works.
Absolutely.
You know, and I've told him I'm trying to read everything, but some of his really early work is difficult to track down.
Yeah.
His getting started out, like a lot of authors these days, they get started out kind of self-publishing or putting stuff in,
doing indie
fan stuff or doing indie stuff, and a lot of it disappears really quick, and you just can't get copies. And for whatever reason, they don't want to bring it back into print. Maybe they're a little embarrassed by what they did back then, but sometimes there are holes in the bibliography that you just can't fill because you just can't get hold of it. And some of his earliest works are like that. There's a whole collection of short stories of it. Trying to find a copy of it, so far no luck. But there are some of his very earliest works. I've been wanting to get going on a complete read-through of everything I can get my hands on, and so far I can't get my hands on the one to start me off. So a little frustrating there.
More than happy when you get to Southern Reach stuff to continue this series.
Oh yeah,
I was absolutely blown away. Like, this is so good.
Yeah,
I loved it.
And before I make this early part too long, because we were going to keep these more to the point, let's do a quick synopsis.
So the synopsis is Area X has been transitioning over the course of 30 years. And every so often they send in a group to do a basically survey of the entire area, to look at plants, look at structures, look at everything else, with the understanding that there are some very unusual and abnormal things happening in this area. And so this particular group has gone in. It's 3 females, and they're doing their research. And that's it.
Yeah, well, the area started changing because of a tower that appeared.
Mm-hmm.
It's either a tower or it's a hole.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They call it a tower.
Well,
Like,
some of them
yeah.
call it one thing, some call it another, because it's like an inverted tower, is how it's
Like
described.
Dante's hell.
Yeah, kind of.
Basically. Yeah.
And so, strange things happen there.
Yes. Lots of
Very strange things happen there. And this is a very strange story. It's like nothing there are some parallels, but otherwise it's like nothing you've ever read before.
It is
and
so good.
I saw the movie before reading the book. The movie is way different.
Yeah, I've been told. Someone asked me, "Oh, did you get to the part with the bear?" I'm like, "There's no bear in this story. I've not seen a single bear. There's a boar for like a second, but they avoid it. It's not about the bear. There's no bear."
So, what did you think of it?
I loved it.
Okay.
This is a top tale for me. I am super excited. I loved that the nature was so scientifically correct, because it's coming from the point of view of a biologist. And one of the fun but unnerving parts of the story is you never learn the names of any of the characters. They are titled by their title, like their occupation, and why they're there. And that was done intentionally, though we're not explained as to why it was done intentionally. So there's really interesting, like, what the hell is going on aspect to this that I'm hoping is revealed in the rest of the series. And even if it's not, it's so intriguing. I really appreciated kind of that ambiguity. But the nature is so beautifully and well described, and even the creatures that are encountered, like the mosses and other things, are so well described with like such a love and passion and fascination that you are just absolutely enthralled with this world building. It surrounds you, it consumes you, and it freaking terrifies you. And it is so good.
Yes.
And I appreciated that it was an all-female cast. It was written really well and respectfully. I know there's a lot of people have a lot of issues with men writing female characters, but this was so well done. Everyone was so well respected. Every action and reason and personality had a point. There was nobody who was just fluff. It was all very intentional and thoughtfully written. So I really appreciate that as a feminist and as a reader.
I always take issue with the people who say that men can't write women. That's bullcrap. There are a lot of authors that have problems writing people and doing really good characterization. But if we had this thing where, well, men don't understand women, so they shouldn't understand women. Well, women don't understand men, so they shouldn't write men. And black people don't understand white people, so they should never write white people, right? I mean, eventually you get to this point where all a writer could possibly do is write about themselves in a room.
Yeah, and then you just end up being an echo
anything
chamber.
else.
And it's a slap into the face of people who are empathetic people. If you have empathy, you can write from a multitude of perspectives. Maybe not perfectly, but as long as what you're writing pertains to the story and is consistent and valid for what you're trying to produce, I think it's perfectly legitimate for people to write. It takes all sorts to make good stories. It just does.
But I also think that if a male writer wants to write a book that has all male characters, he shouldn't be criticized for it.
No. It's like it becomes a lose-lose situation.
It may be pertinent to the story that he's telling.
Yes. Like in this case, it would make sense for everybody to be of the same gender in this group, because you don't want there to be any kind of romantic affiliations to distract you from your work. I mean, we talk about that in science. Sometimes there was an issue with NASA where they were afraid for a time that people might have romantic relationships in space and not pay attention, and this is a very high-risk environment. Granted, professionalism is professionalism, but it is a legitimate concern because some personalities can do that. You don't want there to be any issues with somebody raping the other person or there being romantic stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of that comes from a really stupid attitude that people can't control themselves.
Exactly.
In particular, a really, really stupid attitude that men can't control themselves, which is just completely false.
Yes. If people want to control themselves, they will. It's an issue of want, not ability. So, but back to the the main synopsis and those kinds of things too.
Yeah.
Before we get too sidetracked.
Yeah.
We'll have a topic video on more of that. I promise. Oh, I promise. But one of the things I also really appreciated about this was there's like a psychedelic aspect to a lot of what's occurring, which I really also appreciated about this. And that everything that's occurring, with the exception of maybe one, is a natural phenomenon. I really appreciated that about this work so much.
And I'm sure that comes from VanderMeer's interest in environmentalism.
I like too that this female character is almost, I don't know if this was intentional or not, maybe she's just very passionate about being a biologist, but almost sounds autistic.
Okay.
From certain things. So I could be wrong, feel free to comment on that, but she came across almost as autistic about what she was doing to me. Especially the way she was having relationships and stuff. And how she viewed them. I thought that was very interesting. So I had wondered if that was intentional or if I was just reading into it too much. But I still appreciated the perspective. That was very interesting.
Yeah. This story, definitely a top tale for me too. Most people interpret this as being some kind of alien technology that crashed on Earth or landed on Earth that is causing this change to spread outward.
Right.
I read this with the book club at Blackheart Books in Manitowoc. Excellent horror and thriller themed book store, which has a book club once a month for fiction, and they have another one once a month for nonfiction. And very good, very interesting people. Some of the other people in this group were saying, "Well, I thought it was just the Earth reclaiming the environment." And that's a very interesting interpretation. It could be just some kind of natural trigger going on, reclaiming the environment from the damage that man has done to it.
Yes.
That could be what's happening here, not alien at all.
And that's kind of how I interpreted it too, because do we want to get into the spoilers? Let's get into some of the spoilers.
Yeah.
Because now we can't avoid it.
I don't think
No.
we get the story, but we just don't get a lot of answers.
Yeah, it's very ambiguous ending, for a lot of reasons, a lot of loose ends. So I'm very excited to read the rest to see how that goes. But I definitely felt like, I agree. I felt like that was one of the things that this was Earth reclaiming herself or taking herself back somehow. And that's because of there's a part where they're reading some of the journals from the lighthouse keeper while they're at the lighthouse. And there's an assault from the ocean. And my only interpretation was, okay, nature decided to revolt, or they're aliens, but they're beings who have already always been here. And they're just sick of being in hiding. So those were the only two interpretations. But if they are actually the natural elements that committed the assault, then it is still nature trying to take back itself. So either way.
Now, I saw it from a different perspective, mainly because I'm an H.G. Wells fan.
Of course.
And towards the end of the War of the Worlds, there's a section with a really, really awesome, cool, beautiful description of how the Martians are transforming the Earth into their environment, which is very parallel to what's going on in this book. Very, very much like it. The kinds of transformation of plants and the environment into a Martian environment. This whole book felt like that part of War of the Worlds.
And that's, I think, a pretty solid interpretation, especially if you want to have that alien element. I'm excited to see where it goes.
And of course, it's strengthened. There are two fictional parallels to this, actually three, that we can talk about a little bit. Starting with the fall of the House of Usher.
Yes.
And how the landscape and the house are tied to
almost a symbiosis.
The family, and what happens to the landscape, what happens to the house happens to the family.
Yes.
And the second one, of course, is H.P. Lovecraft's version of that, The Color Out of Space, where a crashed meteorite is changing and affecting the whole landscape and all the people around. in a way very much like this book.
Yes.
And of course, the third one then is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I'm thinking when we talked about that one, I was saying how I wish she would have made it more her own. I feel like VanderMeer did that here.
Yeah,
he took Fall of the House of Usher and Color Out of Space, and he thought, how can I make this of today? I mean, I don't know that he literally did this, but he may have, or may have subconsciously done it.
Yeah.
And come up with a story that is very much in parallel with these two, but so different, so new, so unique. It's a completely new sort of thing.
It's so original.
And that's
so
what T. Kingfisher should have done with What Moves the Dead, and I think that would have been a better novel.
I'd even sprinkle in The Thing, because there is a potential and a heavy suggestion that a lot of the nature was once the previous teams that were sent in. They were human ones, and now they've transitioned into part of the nature.
Yeah.
And they don't get to de-transform or whatever, and they're kind of trapped in these new bodies. So it's almost like The Thing, where this alien or something is forcing itself to become like a person. A little different, and different enough, but I also kind of see that sprinkled in there, and that's where my mind went. It's like, oh, it's like The Thing, where these people or these avatars that are sent back as the people, and the actual people became animals.
Yes, definitely.
I thought that was really interesting, right? You kind of get that sprinkled in there too. So there's a lot of elements that I think science fiction lovers will love.
Oh yeah.
And I love when we talked about the golden age of science fiction, how stories were focused more on the ideas and concepts surrounding the science of it than necessarily character. This is a perfect example of the beautiful marriage of both.
Yeah.
You get really well fleshed out characters, and it's a short book. Like, I read it in a day. Like, it took nothing. But it's a short book, and it does this so well, where it balances this character development, even though there's so much you don't know, with the science and the biology, and backs it up so well. It's just so incredibly well done.
Always the challenge for the science fiction writer, and it's why there's so many stories that do have weak characterization, is because how do you talk about something that is affecting the world or affecting the universe, or how do you talk about the fall of a galactic empire?
Yes.
The size and scope of something like that happening over 100,000 years, and get into character when, I mean, each of the lives involved is like a dust speck compared to the overall concept. And this too, he made it work to have more characterization by making an ecological, biological thing, and these people are going in there, they personally are being affected by the overall changes, by the overall big idea here.
Yeah.
So that you have the combination of that idea and character, and you can't divorce them.
Yes.
You know, you couldn't possibly write this with bad characters. You couldn't possibly write it with no idea. This story can only be what it is to have a good balance of both.
Yes, and it's told so well with that balance. So, yeah, top two.
Yeah,
Easy.
brilliant writing.
Perfect. And the world building. You know I'm a sucker for beautiful world building. I
Right.
freaking love this world building. Take something familiar and then throw a few unfamiliar things. That psychologically messes you up. And it's great, in a great way. It's so well done. And it's not, a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is horror. It's really not that horrific of horror. Yeah. Like, a lot of people are talking like, oh, this is like very psychological horror. I'm like, no, it's not really that scary.
There's parts that are really weird and bizarre.
Yeah, not really horror. There's some like body horror, I would say, because you can't have certain things happen to people and transformations or transitions or people dying in this you just can't live without that in this context. There has to be some kind of man versus nature, or what might be nature against you. You know, so it's just so well done. I'm gonna start repeating myself if I keep going. Just be a broken record.
Yeah. The person that this book is not for, there's not a whole lot of action in this.
Mhm.
There's some action, like when they're in the tower and they see that creature,
Mhm.
and then out when they're running through the woods, there's somebody chasing the main character,
Yeah.
and they're shooting at one another.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of action to it, but otherwise it's not heavy on action. And the other thing you're not going to get is a lot of answers.
Yeah.
You're going to leave this book with more questions than answers about what's going on, and that's why even Mr. VanderMeer's read in a post he put on social media that you got to read all three.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just settle for the one. And he does write it in a way that it leaves you wanting more by the end of the first one. So
it sounds like you
really well
can
done.
get by without reading the new fourth one, but you probably should anyway.
Yeah. Why not?
But
Why not? It's good.
It doesn't sound like, it does sound like what I said before. It's like reading the Fellowship of the Ring and not going any further.
Yeah.
It's like you're not getting it.
Mhm.
You're just not getting the story.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely a great, highly recommend to sci-fi lovers, highly recommend to biologists, highly recommend to anyone who just enjoys the bizarre or interesting, or just if you enjoy well-written work, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think people who also like Stephen King would enjoy this.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
feel like it's a sci-fi thing. If sci-fi's not your thing, maybe you'll have a hard time with it. But writing style is very like detailed like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's fleshed out really well, it's very thoughtfully done, it's very
Mm-hmm.
kind of straightforward like him. So if you like Stephen King, I think you would enjoy this as well. So
Yeah, possibly.
Mhm. So, yeah.
So yeah, like I say, I'm trying to get a thing going of reading everything by Mr. VanderMeer, but until I get that going, we'll definitely move on to what is book 2? Authority, and then Acceptance. We'll keep going on this trilogy and get through this at least.
Exciting.
And at some time, I want to go back and cover as much as I can find of his early work and go through in order of publication.
Mm-hmm.
So come on back for a lot more. The next then will be Authority. We'll read that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not sure exactly when, but we'll get
We'll
to
get it. We'll find
maybe
a time.
this year, maybe early next year.
We'll do what we can.
And so if you've read Annihilation, and lots of people out there have already read this book, I'm kind of ashamed I haven't read it before now. Definitely leave your comments. What did you think? What is your take on this story? What are your thoughts about this story? Leave your comments in the comment section of the video for everyone to enjoy.
And if you like what you saw here, feel free to like and subscribe and hit that little bell if you want notifications for our videos. And feel free to look at our backlog of videos. We have over 800 videos that we've done. We love to read. And if you love to read, you'll love us. So feel free to go ahead and check that out too.
And don't forget our Penguin bookstore and our Etsy bookstore, where we have some personally selected and some from our own libraries, better quality used books that we have for sale at reasonable prices.
So thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next time.